Hello, this is Eldoric The Guardian Tank, and we're talking about the Guardian Spec in Mist of Pandaria Beta, and we're going to talk about something everyone wants to know if you play a Druid tank. What is the rotation? Now, you can see on the beta, it is crazy over here by the training dummies, so we're going to do the best we can to, of course, show you everything we need to do here. Now, we're going to quickly overview the primary abilities that you have to concern yourself with before we dive into it. Of course, you got Mangle. Remember, if you crit with that, you get Rage back. So Mangle, very important. You want to crit, you want to keep it up. Lacerate will help you do that. It gives you a 12% chance to refresh that Mangle. More Mangles, more Rage, more use of it in survivability. So that's what you really want. Fairy Fire, remember, it gives you the weakened armor, gives you every 15 seconds, and is your range sound. So it's carrying a lot of load there, but it's important. Bear Hug, minute cooldown, scales well with your stamina. Just keep it in mind. It's fun to use. It's an interesting ability, and it is an attack that you have. Remember, if something's immobilized, it's not hitting you. Swipe, still your primary AoE move. Hurts more if you use it on bleeding targets, which of course goes to Thrash, which gives you the debuff 10% damage reduction, physical damage reduction, that you want to be hitting. So you're going to want to use Thrash throughout your rotation. Very Thunderclap-ish. Of course, after you go through all of those abilities, it's going to apply to build your Rage. And you're going to be using those on three things. Maul, you're going to use it maybe if you outscale the content and you want to get a little extra damage in there. That's good. You can use it. Savage Defense, though, is where it gets interesting. 40% damage reduction to physical damage. So if you're taking a lot of physical damage, this is the go-to for that. You're going to use it a lot. It's really good. The other one is Frenzy Regeneration. Remember, it depends if you have glyphed into this. Now, if you glyph into it, it gives you a 40% increase the amount of healing you're getting. So that's very important, okay? Again, you go through all these attacks to fuel your Savage Defense and your Frenzy Regeneration. If you don't glyph it, it just becomes kind of hot that consumes Rage. You're going to want to glyph it if you're primarily a tank, okay? And then you have your 1 damage ability. So let's dive into this a little bit, okay? I'm going to move back. I did glyph into Wild Charge, so I have a charge on my bear tank. Most bear tanks will. Moving in, now I'm going to want to Mangle. I want to start building that Rage. Build that Rage up. I'm going to be Lacerating. I want to build those stacks of Lacerate. Lacerate's also a great filler for you. You're also going to be using your Feral Fire when it comes off. Remember, you may want to open with that. It is a ranged silence. Depends on the situation. But as you can see here, I'm using these abilities. I'm building up the Rage. Now, clear I'm there. I'm just showing you the threat rotation here. Now, Thrash, you want to use that to get that debuff up. It's a great thing to do. Now, I am maxed out on Rage here by using these various abilities. Mangle, remember, you can see it refreshing there. Okay, so I'm going to hit Savage Defense, and you see you got that reduction going on and boost me down. And this does stack, so you can actually like hit it twice in a row quickly if you work out the Rage and get it a little bit longer. This also means that you can use Frenzy Regeneration, and if you have the Rage, and Savage Defense, kind of you can stack them. It really depends on how you want to play it. So there is a bit of strategy on how you want to use this Rage, how quickly you can build it, how quickly can you expend it. Now, as you can see, I'm not having much trouble maintaining a high level of Rage here. I made a dummy that, you know, I'm getting a lot of crits, I'm getting a lot of hits. This isn't the boss dummy. I wanted to kind of be at max range as much as I could do. Now I'm going to use Bear Hug. It's fun. It's something you should work in. You're going to have more than enough opportunity to work in there. Now, there are times where if you're dealing with ads or something, sending them could be good. If you're not taking damage for something, if you can stun it, that's always good. So, again, I'm working through it. I'm using my Rage, Savage Defense, get that damage reduction. Now, most of the time, reducing something by a percentage, particularly 40% damage, is really, really handy. So why would you want to use Frenzy Regeneration? Well, I could tell you that a lot of times you're going to want to use Frenzy Regeneration is in a situation where you're taking magic damage. Okay, well, the physical reduction from Savage Defense isn't going to do anything to stop that. But if you're taking magic damage, you're going to help the healer keep you up. Alright, this parallels the Warrior in a lot of ways, so you got two different ways you can go there. Most of the time, you're probably going to want Savage Defense. It's a great go-to, but don't overlook in magic damage AoE situations. If you're low on health, it may be very advisable to use Frenzy Regeneration to boost you back up. Now, as you can see, I'm trying to maintain, and one thing you may notice is like, oh, there's not a lot going on here. You pretty much have about 4 attacks, 2 a single target, and then 2 AoE attacks. It feels like a lot less, and the warrior's the same way. But the great thing about this rotation is I'm focusing half of it on generating rage and the other half on expending it. So I'm actually paying a lot more attention to the fewer buttons I'm hitting. I want to hit mangle, boom. I want to hit lacerate, get more mangles, and it helps even with our threat. I want to hit Verifier to silence, or of course to get that help the raid out with that weakening of the armor. So I'm kind of working through all these things, and I'm thinking, okay, I got rage. What do I want to use on? Am I taking that magic damage? Want frenzy regeneration, or am I taking a lot of physical damage? Do I want to use Savage Defense? So there's more decision in paying attention to my resources. So that's where they were going with this, and it works really, really well. I have attempted it on some lower level mobs. By lower level, I mean more in the 85 range where I'm currently at, because I just entered the beta. And I have to say, it feels pretty good. It makes me feel like I not mindlessly pressing buttons. They have a purpose. I want to hit that mangle. I'm looking for it. I want to hit it, not for threat, but for survivability. I want that rage so I can pump it into something. I want to use my survivability, rage-consuming abilities. And that's what you can see me doing here, and that's what I'm enjoying. Now, both of the rage tanks parallel each other very heavily. If you're watching this and you're like, well, I play a warrior, trust me, they're not worlds apart. They kind of made one system and they adapted it. How a druid gets rage is a little bit different than how the warrior get rage. How the warrior expends it's a little bit different, but the concept of physical damage is one of the options, kind of the magical / health one's the other option. Then, of course, you have a attack that expends rage, which, trust me, if you're on something like either you're in a burn phase or you're doing older content, that can end up being a really helpful thing to you. Now, again, remember, mangle, because remember, when you mangle, you get rage. Lacerate to build that up. Thrash to maintain your debuff, and then of course Verifier so you can silence, and then work it into either a damage reduction for physical, or work it into a friendly regeneration to get your health back up if you're taking something like magic damage or unavoidable damage. So that's what you're looking at when you go into the rotation. Again, it seems less, but trust me, it's a lot more than when you add in paying attention to multiple mobs and positioning. It really makes a satisfying conclusion. Well, thank you for joining this week. Again, you can check out the Guardian Tank podcast, available on iTunes, and check out the other tanking tutorial videos we have here on our YouTube page. Once again, this is Eldoric The Guardian Tank, and thank you for joining us.